Welcome to Card Players The Circuit, hosted by your favorite set, Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, and Joe Sebok.
That's right, everybody. You're listening to the Circuit Radio program, Card Players Poker Radio Show. We're broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122, on cardplayer.com, and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, and Joe Sebok in the studio at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, Nevada. How's it going, gentlemen?
Fantastically bad.
Wow.
It's been a big weekend for both of us, actually. A lot of very, very near misses.
We have a lot of catching up to do because we aren't doing the weekends as we are now on satellite radio. But we do have a great show for everybody today. We are going to have Hand of the Day phone calls. Get them in by 6 p.m. Pacific each night. We're going to have World Series of Poker news, some emails, and the lovely Jean Gluck on the program as well.
Wonderful.
If I may talk about Bellagio for 1 second, I finally got to play some poker, other than obviously the 2500 event, which we will talk about ad nauseum pretty soon. But I got to go down there in the poker room. It's insane down there.
Yeah, it's pretty busy.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you can't. It's like a 2-hour list. And I'm not discouraging people from coming,
but poker mecca.
It is action. They have released the restriction on their 200. Yes, right here at the Bellagio. Okay. They have released the restriction on the 2-5 no limit game. I mean, there's some restriction, but it's now $200 to $500 buy-in, which is where I play, and it's much better now. There's a lot more action, a lot more money on the table. When it was a 200 restricted buy, there wasn't much play for a 2-5 no limit game. Now it's right back, and it's just pumping with action. So head down to Bellagio, play some poker. Maybe you'll catch me at a table in my 1 or 2 hours off that I get a day.
True.
All right, boys. So why don't we catch up on what's happened here? Sebok, the limit event, the no limit event, the rebuy event. What happened to you? And then we'll move over to Gavin over
there. Excuse me. It has been a big weekend. I played in the limit event, played very well. I was very, very happy with how I played. Got down to about 23 players left, and I really felt at that point I was a huge favorite. I was the chip leader. I really had taken control of the table. Things were going well. I was winning when I had cards. I was winning without cards. I had the whole intimidation thing going great, and unfortunately, I locked up in a huge pot very late, and I had ace king, and a king flopped. It was a three-way pot. And for some reason, the small blind player who had called my 3-bet raise going to him, which there's actually nothing wrong with calling that raise given his hand. He had 2 sevens. He just, for some reason, didn't believe me, called me all the way down, and hit a third 7 on the river, which crippled me. If I win that pot, it's very, very difficult for me to not see waltzing into the final table and being a huge favorite to take down my first bracelet.
Yeah, the names at that final table were like the cast of Reservoir Dogs. It was like Bob White, Jim Blonde, Rich Blue.
Mr.
I'd
Pink.
never heard. Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, so I mean, it was incredibly frustrating. But with that said, when you go out of a tournament on a bad beat, at least you didn't do something wrong. At least you weren't the one that caused your demise. So I mean, I've let it go. I know that I'm playing really well so far in the World Series, and I have to think that that's not going to be my last deep cash.
And the no-limit event was obviously quick. You just tried to get out of there. Is that right?
The no-limit event I got in. I just tried to build up really quickly. I flopped top pair with an ace kicker, got it in, and Danny Smith had slow played jack. So, no, I have no problem with that. It's exactly what I wanted to do. I guess the small solace I can find in the limit event is I've now pulled ahead of Mr. Gavin Smith in our superhero wager in 2006. So now, my friend, you
I don't even know how the
pressure.
points work in that.
Well, they work that you're losing. So that's how they work.
That was very mature the way you put that out.
Yeah.
Do you know how they work?
Yeah, I told you. It's they're nominal points up until you make the final table. So
but there's actual points though.
Yeah, there's a breakdown.
So where do you go to find out how many points you have?
We need to go to the floor and get the actual mathematical points. So what that means is that me finishing 23rd and you finishing 12th, you probably got a few more points, but I would be...
Yeah, we could break down the point system off the air, boys.
What?
We know that Sebok is winning. Let's talk about your rebuy event. Let's talk a little bit of poker.
The Führer has spoken.
The rebuy event. What'd you do there? Was there anything? How many rebuys did you make?
I actually got in. The first hand I flopped a set of aces and doubled up. So from that point, I never had to rebuy at all. I mean, I just played my initial buy-in, then my 1,000 add-on.
Whoa. 1,000 add-on?
The $1,000 add-on, yeah.
Why didn't you do a $2,000 add-on?
You can't.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
I did.
You can't.
Dude,
you have to be broke.
No, you don't.
To buy in for 2,000.
They did double add-ons.
Well, not in the beginning.
No, after the rebuy period, you can do a double add-on.
But when you first sit down, you can immediately Right, so I did that, you knuckleheads. Right. So I immediately did my 1,000, so I was in for 2. And then at the break you didn't let me finish because you had to jump in and just,
Well, I just thought you were going to hit it again.
Well, that's because you never listened. I was about to make sense far beyond any sense you've ever even heard.
So how far did you make it in the...
it was vomitous. Actually, I got I got up to about 7,000 or 8,000, and then in succession, I lost about 80% of my chips to a 3-outer on the river. I had 2 pair, and my opponent made a higher 2 pair when all of the cards were below what my cards were. So certainly, pairing the board wasn't gonna give him the win. So it was kind of disgusting, and I vomited. And then 6 hands later, I lost the rest of my chips with Ace Queen against Ace Jack. So then I lost to a 2-outer because Antonio actually turned up his hand in the big blind. He had King Jack. So there were only two jacks live in the deck, and I lost. Wow. So it was quick and a little painful, but at least it was early. At least it wasn't when I got down to 20th or something like that, and then it happened.
All right, Gavin, how about you? You had the Omaha 8 or better. You had the 10K PLO today. You also had the $1,000 rebuys. You also had the 20. Did you play the 2,500? No limit? Yes. No, you didn't.
No, you didn't play.
No, I give Joe as many free rolls as I can.
I need him.
So yeah, tell us about how you did there. Those events.
5,000 Omaha 8 or better. Day 1 went fantastic. At one point, I had 160,000 chips when nobody else had 80. At the end of the day, I had the chip lead at 118,000. Came back the next day and got hit with a succession of phenomenal starting hands. I got so much better cards the second day than I got the first day. And I never, ever hit a hand. I was in, we're playing 3 and 6,000, then 4 and 8,000. And I just, I'm calling 2 and 3 bets before the flop, and I'm flopping, flush draws with low draws or stuff like that. I got dealt ace deuce 3-4 twice. I got ace deuce 5 in a face card 3 different times. I just got a lot of great hands, and I never made a hand. Wow. And ended up going out 22nd, which was very, very disappointing.
But you cashed at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a minimal.
I cashed, but I really didn't care about that.
Yeah, I know.
So then I came back for the rebuy event, and I was in for 6,000 total, and I got a lot of chips together. I was really playing well. I was reading situations well. I felt that I was in control of every table I was at, and late in day 1, it came up that I cold called Kyle Wilson's raise with Queen 10 of Hearts. Flop came down Ace King Jack. We put the money in. I'd been cultivating this play with Kyle for quite a while. I'd been calling all of his raises, thinking that there was a very good chance we could play a big pot. And so I flopped the nuts. We got all the money in. He had bottom set, and he filled up in the turn. And I was 6th in chips at the beginning of the time, and I think he was 4th. I would have had 30,000 more than anybody else if he didn't fill up, but instead I went home. And today I played the pot limit Omaha like shite. And
I was which means not well.
Right. Yeah. I lost all my chips to some guy who I think's played poker for a little while. His name's Doyle Brunson.
A couple years.
And now I'm here with my favorite people doing the circuit.
Wow. It was a set against the set, is that right? Which in Omaha isn't really all that big of a deal, correct?
I had set of kings with a gut shot straight draw, and I thought that maybe Doyle might be gambling because he wanted to go to the big game or whatever, and maybe he might just have a wrap, but it turned out he had limped with aces.
Wow. All right.
Crushed.
We all know what happened to me, but we'll get to the hand soon. It's time for some World Series of Poker news. World Series of Poker news. All right, our player of the day today is Sam Farha. Sound off on this guy. Give it a minute.
Sammy and I played a lot of day 1 together in the Omaha tournament, and it was a lot of fun. He and I play very similar styles. He's very entertaining. He talks a lot at the table. He's joking around a lot. He's just a good guy, and he's an action player, man. He's in there mixing it up, and he'll get you with hands that you're not expecting him to get you with, and he's able to read situations very well, so that allows him to be very loose, and I think he plays very well.
Yeah, I was just basically going to say the thing. Sammy plays a lot of inferior starting hands that certainly, if you cracked Sklansky's book or anything like that, it would tell you not to do. But he depends on, as Gavin said, his skill to play his way out of those hands. He realizes when to let them go. I know we've talked about it before. If you're going to play, one of these, 6-9 type hands, you have to hit that hand and know that you can make it work. You can't flop a 6 and then try to get in there and run it through. So yeah, he just has a lot of skill, and he gets away with playing some junk hands.
I'm assuming that comes mostly from experience for Sammy. I mean, being able to play that style takes seeing a ton of hands and seeing a ton of situations.
Right. Well, you never know. I mean, maybe it takes some skill, maybe it takes some heart. I mean, you can never really identify exactly what it is that makes a player great at what he does. But we do know that Sammy is obviously able to pull it off, so he's doing something right.
Right. Well, and he won a bracelet, defeating Phil Ivey and keeping him from getting his 6th bracelet at the. How old is Phil?
29. He actually 29. May have just turned 30. We're roughly
pretty
the same
unbelievable.
age.
Yeah, that's he just defeated Phil. 398,560 for Sammy. His 2nd bracelet. 3rd place was Kirill Gerasimov.
And Phil had a big chip lead.
Yeah.
So Sammy really, I mean, people were already putting the bracelet on Phil's wrist, so it was a huge win for Sammy.
The $5,000 no limit winner was Jeff Cabanillas. He won $818,000, defeating Phil, another guy who was going for a record bracelet.
Yeah,
Phil Hellmuth. 423,893 for Phil, but a 2nd place. He seemed very gracious, very mature in defeat to Jeff, who I think is a cash game player out of LA, from what I've heard, or at least a poker player out of LA.
He did seem very gracious and very mature, but I've heard from a few other sources he was also very drunk that night. So I wasn't actually
after it was over.
After it was, no, yeah, I'm sorry, not after.
Phil told me that that night spent $8,000 in alcohol.
Wow,
he lit it up apparently.
So one of our guests, Marcel Lusk, came in 4th place. So just for all of you out there listening who may be poker players, come on the circuit, make the final table. That's what we're promising. It's a very premium for the World Series. Come on the circuit, make the final table. $1,500 7-card stud winner David Williams. No stranger to success in the World Series poker. $163,118.
Bracelet.
And his first World Series of Poker bracelet, after a number of notable 2nd place finishes, was written in there by our intern. The $1,000 no limit rebuy, Joseph Davis, is the chip leader there. The $2,500 no limit final table, Anthony Retegui took the chip lead into the final table. He's a bracelet winner from last year's no limit hold'em shootout. Other notables at that final table: Max Pescatori and Mike the Mouth Matiso. And then what else do we have going on? The ladies event, obviously, today, which our guest that's coming on here, Jean Gluck, played in. That was 1,100 plus entries for a ladies event. Pretty
unbelievable.
Impressive. Poker continues to grow. All right. Now it is time for our hand of the day.
Nice hand, sir.
It involves me, and it is depressing. I was put into a $2,500 no-limit hold'em event the other day by Gavin Smith and Joe Sebok. Obviously not a very good investment, as the following play went down.
Would you? Okay, so I have a question. As you describe the hand, would you like us to comment each step, or would you like us to wait till the end?
Well, whatever we have time for. Here we go.
Okay.
I have about 2,500 in chips, the starting stack, after I actually got check raised on a 10 high flop a couple hands earlier by the same player that I'm about to play this hand with, and let him play me off the hand and lost about 500 chips in the pot, which was way too much at the 25-25 level with Jack 10. That's fine. I got it back. I was up to 2,500, still trying to get control of my emotions, which were just totally out of whack. Right. I was so pumped and just freaked out and wanted to throw up. So anyways, I get dealt ace jack offsuit on the button, and it's folded around to me. The player, I raise it up to $75 at the 25-25 level and get called by the player in the small blind. The big blind folds.
So far everything's fine.
Right.
No problem with raising on the button.
The flop comes down. Oh, you want to comment on each step? Go ahead.
No. Well, whenever I read my hands, you guys are silent. So I think the whole point of this segment is that we learn and other people learn.
What didn't you like about the raise?
No, nothing.
No,
I'm just going to say everything's
fine
so far. Raising with the ace jack offsuit on the button, perfectly fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
I'm just going step by step.
The flop comes down jack 8 6 with 2 hearts, the 8 and 6 of hearts.
Good flop.
Okay, it's checked to me. I make it 250 to go.
Too much.
He calls.
I don't have a problem with that.
I think it's an overbet. Right now the pot is it's 75, 75, and 75.
No, there's 175 in the pot.
Right.
There's a small blind plus 75. So there's 175 in the flop. In the pot, there's draws out there. There's the 9-10 draw out there. There's a heart draw out there. I don't have a real problem with the 250. I think the 250 is fine.
Okay. Yeah, I disagree. I think it's a mistake. I would have much rather have you seen bet something like 2/3 of the pot. Because the problem is you told him I have a hand, but I want this hand to be over right now, and
right.
And I don't like telling people those things. I mean,
I don't think you're telling them that. I think you're saying I have a hand. I see there's draws available, and I want you to pay for those draws. That's what I gather from it. But
okay,
fair enough.
Mm-hmm. All right, on the turn, the king of spades rolls off, and my opponent once again checks to me, and I bet out 350 in chips. He then check raises me to 1,200. The action gets back to me. I look over the situation. I gave him a little look over. He had been check raising every hand early. He'd been playing a lot of pots and mixing it up. And I just got the feeling that he was weak. I looked at him. He had the classic carotel with the throbbing neck. And I was like, I think this guy's weak. So I'm going to make the call here. And that left me with about, I think, $875 in chips after the $1,200 check raise. So I made the call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you don't want to comment right now?
Well, there's a few things I don't like there. One, I don't really like the bet myself. I think that you're better off there checking behind them and letting them bluff on the river, just keeping the pot nice and small.
Right.
Once you decide to make the bet, there's $675 in the pot now. You still got the draws out there betting $350. I mean, you're just begging to have somebody to take that pot away from you. And then if you really truly thought he was weak when he check raised you, then now the play is to shove in.
All right, we'll be back right after this with the continuation of Hand of the Day on the Circuit.
How does $10 in free poker cash sound? It's easy at vcpoker.com. Just log on, sign up, and get $10 free to start playing a wide range of games, including Hold'em. vcpoker.com makes it easy with the latest software, and your payments and payouts are always safe and secure at vcpoker.com. With 60 years of gaming excellence, vcpoker.com is a company you can trust. Sign up now for your free $10. Log on to vcpoker.com/free35 and get your money for nothing and your chips for free.
Hi, this is John Fan. You're listening to cardplayer.com, The Circus.
Welcome back to Card Players, The Circuit, everyone. Your poker radio assault for the morning. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122 on cardplayer.com and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff, Joe Sebok, and Gavin Smith discussing Hand of the Day.
As much as I hate to say it, I have to say I agree with Caveman on his points. The biggest mistake you made in this hand was you let the pot get too big. You let the pot get too big, and you were just putting too much chips in, and it made it so you had to play the pot. Whatever happened on the turn, I have to agree. I mean, I like a check there. You check that way. If he misses, he's going to bluff. You're going to call him down. The pot won't be so big that it's going to damage you too much at that point. If you make the bet and he makes that huge raise, he's basically at that point saying you're playing for your tournament. And I don't like that early, playing for your tournament with ace-jack. Even if you feel like you have the best hand, I think your options are to fold. Folding, I think, is very acceptable. You might be beat. People get outplayed. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting outplayed sometimes. Or push all in. I think that you did what a lot of players do when they're forced with these decisions between calling or folding, and they make the compromise play. Instead of going to one of the extremes, they call, which is almost always the worst thing that you can possibly do. So you really put yourself in jail with that call.
But if I am going to bet there when it's check to me, you're saying I have to protect this large pot that I've made by making a pot-sized bet so that a play is much less likely to get me off the hand.
Well,
you have to think twice.
I mean, if you make a pot-sized bet there, if you bet 600. Now he's got to say, well, my play here is to move all in on you, and if you have a hand, I'm screwed, right? Because now he doesn't think he's going to have any room to be able to bet you off the hand. You left him with room to think he's got other options for winning the hand.
Yep. I can feel that. So anyhow, I make the call. The river comes at 10 of clubs. He moves in on me. He has me covered. I have 875 left. Figured if I'm calling 1200 on the turn, I got to call the 875 on the river. I didn't. Right. I was right. He didn't have a king. He had the 7-9 offsuit. And
you're not completely. It's very difficult on the river. You've basically put yourself in jail. Is the way that I like to put it. You can fold, but you've put so much of your chips in, feeling that you have the best hand. It's it's difficult. You put yourself in jail. I mean, now you can fold. You're only gonna have 800. You've already invested a good 20. Whatever is, or 1,700 or so.
And now I have nut bags next to me with a trillion chips too. So that's
I have nut bags. So I mean, you put yourself in jail. It's a difficult hand at that point. It's difficult to lay it down. Once you have invested all that money, it's tough to say what to do on the river at that point.
Well,
it just speaks though that's a really good hand because it speaks of one of the biggest concepts in No Limit Hold'em. No Limit Hold'em is about win small pot, win small pot, win small pot, win small pot, pick up big hand, win big pot. Okay, it's not about creating big pots with one pair.
Right.
All right. I'm sorry.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We still love you.
It was all about nerves. The reason I bet 350 on the turn is I couldn't figure out what to bet. The pot was getting hairy. I let it get to a point where it could make me nervous.
Shoving in's not horrible there either.
Right. Well, I agree with you. I started thinking about it. I thought
he's got a hell of a call. If he's even got a king there, he's got a hell of a call. If you don't want to get outplayed, if you're a novice player, you don't want to get outplayed. All in is never a bad play.
Yeah, all in is that is actually a great point. All in. We were talking about this when Howard was on the show. An all-in play is usually the correct way to play against professional players because it takes all of our leverage away. It makes it so we can't play back at you. We're just basically have to guess. Does
But
this
he
guy have
didn't
any
outplay
questions?
me. That is the truth. He really did not outplay me. In the end,
you outplayed yourself. I mean, you
Right.
allowed yourself to be outplayed. I mean, he played his hand in a way, that it worked because, again, like you said, you were nervous and you were too locked up in your own head to actually play the game at that point.
His check raise is actually pretty damn good on the turn.
I think his check raise is okay.
His check raise on that turn is going to win that pot 90% of the time. Very few people are going to call him with ace jack.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Even if they think they're good, very few people are going to call him with ace jack. Because he's either got a king or he's got a draw against you. And, if he's got a king, do you really want to go down and Brooktown? Yeah, I thought you had a king.
Right.
And if he's got a draw, then he's got some outs.
Yeah.
So either way, it kind of sucks if you're sitting there holding the jack. So, I mean, his check raise is a pretty good play.
Too much balls, not enough brains on me, apparently, in that particular play.
On this particular play, but it'll get better.
All right, well, I don't want to keep people from getting in touch with you. Phone calls. Danny, take it away.
Yeah, I'd like to leave a message for Joe Sebok. Joe, I've officially taken you off my fantasy poker team.
Oh, no.
And I've replaced you with Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, my God.
From New York.
All right.
That was a ladies' event today, so that was a pretty easy pick.
I'm sorry.
Super diss. Super diss.
And what was his name? Moron?
Danny from New York or something?
Hey, Danny, you're stupider than a box of rocks, my friend, because I'm playing some of the best poker of my entire life. I already have 2 cashes.
Of his entire poker life, which spans the entire
Irrelevant.
18 months.
Irrelevant. I'm playing the best poker. I've already cashed twice. I was 3 out of the money on another event. I've had chips in every event. So you, my friend, are not a smart man. Next call.
Hi, this is John Altman from Pittsburgh, PA, and I had a question for Joe Sebok. Joe, I saw recently on the PokerStars main page about that your dad joined the PokerStars team, and I was wondering, I've heard Greg Raymer talk before about how he's disappointed that he can't play in any of the WPT events, and I was wondering if this is because of the endorsements from PokerStars, and if that means that the Bear can no longer play in any of the WPT events. Thanks, bye.
Good question. Actually, the Bear will definitely still be playing in the WPT events.
Yeah.
Greg Raymer and a couple of the other pros, Chris Ferguson, Andy Block, to name a few, they actually boycott the WPT events based on a waiver which is signed, which basically gives the WPT the right to use their image in any kind of promotion that they deem fit. So they've decided it's not acceptable to them. They have decided they're not going to play in the WPT events, but you will still see the Bear because the two are not related. It has nothing to do with sponsorship. So never fear, the Bear will be there.
Well, it may have something to do with some of those guys' sponsorships, but it does not have to do with PokerStars.com.
It definitely has. It may have something to do with something I'm not aware of, but it doesn't have anything to do with PokerStars.
All right, right after this, Jean Gluck on the circuit.
Hi, I'm Chris Ferguson, and here's my tip about playing Big Slick. While Ace-King in the hole is a strong hand, many players misplay it by going all in from early position. The problem is, it's only a coin flip against any pocket pair. To get the most out of Ace-King, raise 3 times the blind to drive out players with marginal hands. If you hit the flop, you can really punish players with smaller kickers playing this way. To learn more about playing Big Slick, visit FullTiltPoker.com, where you can learn, chat, and play with the pros.
Welcome back to the circuit, everyone. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122, on CardPlayer.com, and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff, Joe Sebok, and Gavin Smith. And our guest today is a high-stakes cash game player out of Los Angeles. She recently made her first World Series of Poker cash ever in the $1,500 no-limit event. She is a great friend of the circuit, and I'm pretty sure at least 2/3 of the hosts of the show are in love with her. Jean Gluck, how's it going?
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well.
I'm just so happy that we finally got my lovely wife to come on the show. It does my heart good.
Now I know where I'm at in your priorities, huh?
High, number 1, in fact, is where you sit.
I'm just glad she's your wife, but my girlfriend.
Yeah, that's true. It's really, really, really hard for me to be in here with my boyfriend and my husband in the same room.
It must be awkward.
It's uncomfortable.
And we just said Scott's probably just
We're okay
gay.
with it.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
Scott's,
Go ahead, continue. What was that? I'll let you get a second dig.
I said, and we've just all decided Scott's gay.
I think by we, though, you mean you.
I think
Because
by we,
actually,
yeah.
Joe and I have never said that.
That's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Why have we decided
now- but
that?
now that
Because
you
I
say
travel
it-
the tournament circuit and am perfectly faithful to my lovely girlfriend back in Los
I
Angeles.
know,
That
that's
makes me
great.
a
You're a great guy.
homosexual.
No, you're a great guy. I'm just playing.
That does make me a great guy, doesn't it? So why don't you talk a little bit about the World Series of Poker and how it's gone for you, your first cash ever. Tell us about that event,
Oh,
how
yes,
it
that
went,
was-
and how it ended.
That was really exciting. 2,800 people, and I was short stacked the entire time. So it was really difficult. And Joe told me after I got off the phone with him, he said that it's really, really tough to play short stack the whole day. So I think I did a pretty good job. Finished 257 out of 2,800. So I was real happy about that.
Well, how'd you get to the short stack? Were there any big hands that you can walk through for some of our listeners that some of the more interesting hands of the day? At least one.
Well, with short chip tournaments, we only started with 1,500. I like to play really tight, so I just played real hands. I tripled up with aces, and that pretty much coasted me into the money. So,
really?
I love tripling up with aces.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
So awesome.
I didn't play any hands, and they didn't believe me.
I like I like tripling up with 7-4 offsuit.
Yeah, that's fun. In the rebuy tournament, the first hand I played, pocket aces, flopped a set of aces, doubled up.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, ladies today. A lot of ladies today, right?
Ladies today? Are you going to move on to ladies tournament already? What about the other events that you've played in? No such luck since the first cash?
Well, I played the 5,000 no limit, and first level got knocked out with kings, ran into a set of jacks. And, actually, the 1,500 limit tournament, I was 60 away from the money because I ran into Phil Ivy's kings. I had queens.
Ooh.
But I laid it down on the turn, but had no chips. I just knew he had me beat. I just didn't want to give him all my chips.
Did he show you?
Oh, well, someone was already all in with ace
so you
king.
got to see.
So it was about 4 bets on the turn. It was capped on the flop, 4 bets on the turn. And I just had a feeling the king came actually on the turn. So the case king came for me to lay down my hand.
Wow.
So I guess that's lucky, actually.
Yeah.
I'll let you get away from it, at least.
I had 600 left. I went all in pretty much blind in my big blind with 10-3 of diamonds. So I guess I gave myself a chance, but not that good
10-3 of diamonds is like dynamite for Gavin. If
I
Gavin
love
has
that.
10-3 of diamonds.
I love that hand
Didn't
suited.
work for me.
It's suited.
Oh, you mean you like the 10-3 of diamonds suited?
No, I just said I comment on the fact that it is suited.
It is. He was just letting everyone know as well.
That's the part I like.
I gotcha.
Because it's fairly well known that I really like suited cards.
Gavin likes men in uniform. So how did the women's event go for you today?
Well, let's see. I doubled up early, almost doubled up early. Had a lot of big hands, and then when it counted, didn't happen. I had king jack suited in the big blind. Lady went away from the button, raised mini raise 400. It was 100, 200 blinds, and I said, okay, it's only 200. Call king, queen, 10 on the board, and I checked to her because I thought maybe she might bluff at it. I just wanted to see her reaction to it, and she only bet 400. So I have 2,000 in chips, and I call because I want to see the turn. Flop top pair, open in straight draw, and turn a king. So I'm pretty much stuck.
You're locked.
Yeah. What am I going to do? It was really hard. I checked. She moved all in, and it was really hard for me to put her on ace jack because I had a jack in my hand. I guess I just really didn't want to put her on ace jack. That's pretty much it. I'm like, okay, even if she has, there's not many hands I can beat. She can have ace king, can't beat that. King queen, king 10, can't beat it.
Well, you can beat a move.
Yeah, I could beat a move, and she did have more chips than I did, and I called, and she had the ace jack. So board didn't pair on the river. Yeah, and I actually lost a huge pot to her early on when I had a lot of chips. I flopped a set of 5s and came all flush board, 5-8 ace of clubs, and she re-raised me. And I called just to see if the board paired and blank on the turn. So I showed her, I laid it down, I showed her, and she's like, good, lay down. I said, right.
Wow, and it was the same woman.
Same woman. She had my number, I think.
I hate that when you're in a tournament and it's the same person that hammers on you. It drives me out of my
she was a great
gourd. I like
she was a great lady.
You enjoy that? You like that when the same person hammers on you all day?
Well, I'm usually the person doing that.
The one time we played together, I hammered you pretty bad.
Yeah, you bastard.
Yeah, I did. I put it right in your keister.
When?
At the plaza, at the ultimate thing.
I
remember?
couldn't play any hands. I was already short.
Yeah, it's really hard when Joe takes all your chips to play hands, isn't it?
How did you take all my chips?
Because I spanked you like a little baby. What are you talking about?
This is what the intro's for. So, what do you think about the overall play that you saw today in the women's event? I mean, what do you think about the caliber of players now, of women players?
Well, I think a lot more women are playing. Obviously, 1,100 people,
that's a lot.
over $1 million prize pool, which is huge, and it's very good that it's come to that, because I think that it's kind of wrong for women to say they wouldn't play women events because it's strictly for women.
I was going to ask you about that because I read Annie Duke in particular came out publicly and said it was demeaning to even have a ladies event. So I'm curious, how do you feel about that, knowing that some of these, Annie Duke, some of the bigger name females have kind of decided that it's almost below them to play? I mean, do you have any reaction to that at all?
Well, I've only been playing 2 years. I haven't been playing as long as some of these women have been playing, and I'm 100% supporting women playing poker. And some women don't have the confidence to sit at a table with 9 other men. And a women's tournament gives them the incentive to, okay, I'm playing with women. we're on the same page here. We could talk about nails and shopping and stuff like that and play. And it's more comfortable, more comfortable environment, I think. So whatever makes poker bigger right now is good, right? So
absolutely.
1,100 women today is a really, really good thing for poker. And it might get those women to start playing other events.
Right.
How do you think it would go over if we had a men-only tournament?
Go for
Not
it.
well.
I don't think it would go over well.
I don't think it would go over very well.
It's kind of funny, though. You think about it. I mean,
I think that's why the women don't like the idea of it, because it is kind of ridiculous in a way.
but everybody's been I don't really have a problem with women-only events and everything, but I'm just thinking, women, it seems to me, are always striving for equality and equality and equality, and it seems to me that this is going against that and it's making it worse for that. I mean, they would absolutely hit the roof if whoever tried to do a men-only tournament.
That's true, but I agree with Jean in that I think that the point is, if you're trying to grow a game that is dominated by men, you can look for equality, that's fine, but if you can somehow bring people in, then it's a good thing no matter what. It doesn't, obviously you don't want to be going after 12-years or, going to tobacco companies and showing up and handing out chipsets on elementary school playgrounds. But if women are a little bit, scared to get in there and play.
To play an event at the World Series, you need to have a total rewards card. What would be wrong with doing, you cannot play in an event unless you've only been playing at the World Series for less than 2 years. If you're in your third World Series, you're not out in the event. Then you're getting beginners and playing against beginners. It doesn't have to be cut.
It's not a terrible idea.
Oh, you're talking about tiering.
I mean, I just think I don't know. I don't think a women's only tournament is necessary in 2006.
Okay.
Gavin Smith is smoking.
Well, when I first started playing, I only played limit and cash games. So the only tournaments I played were women's tournaments. I played like 3 a year, and that was it. Mm-hmm. I'm just going by my perspective. If you ask me, go buy into a $200 no limit tournament with tons of guys in there, at that point in time, I wouldn't have played it.
It's too intimidating?
Exactly. Yeah. Too intimidating. I'm just going by how I was feeling at the time. And I'm sure a lot of these other ladies are feeling that way also because they've only played online. So I think that anything that makes them feel more comfortable is good. I could care less if it's a women's tournament or a male tournament. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to play whatever events I feel that I have a winning chance.
And then eventually, obviously, you have to step out of that comfort zone. There's nothing you can really do if you want to be one of the best players in the world, or you want to continue to excel at poker. You're not just going to play women's only events. So let's say for you, now that you've made it seems like looking through your records and tournaments, how long have you been even playing tournaments for?
Seriously, maybe 4 months. The Bellagio 5 Diamonds was the first time.
Right. So the Bellagio 5 Diamond, when you stepped in there, what have you found to be the toughest transitions from? I played my first event the other day. 2,500. Right. I was out of my mind with fear. How did you step in there? Like, how did you get over that hump? Was it just the high stakes cash games you had been playing? And what have you found to be the toughest transition into tournament poker?
Well, it was from playing high limit cash games, but actually what got me into playing tournaments was the Bodog tournament in Costa Rica that I got invited to. There's nothing better than knocking out the number one poker player so far in the year, which was the Grinder. I knocked him out on our table. So it gave me a lot of confidence. I said, hey, maybe I have a knack for this game, and then when we came to the pros table we beat out 8 other pros, and it's me and Grinder again, heads up. And we were both at 50-50 on the turn, and I ended up losing. So he advanced, but I just was like, okay, maybe I could play this game. Gave it a shot at the 5 Diamonds, and I cashed in one of the events over there.
I remember it. And the thing about tournaments too, it's like anything else. I mean, you're nervous, and then the next one you're less nervous, and the next one you're less, and the next one you're less, and eventually you're not nervous at all, and you're focused on what you're trying to accomplish, and you're not listening to the nerves as much. So it's a progression, and I think it's a progression for everybody. I mean, everyone is shaking like a leaf when they first play in that tournament. I know we were talking, Scott, earlier about how difficult it was. I certainly was like that last year.
Yeah.
You almost can't even play the game. I mean, you're so caught up in your own head. So it's just, like I was saying, it's a very natural progression, and it just takes some time.
What I'm actually even more interested in, though, like the end of that question that I just asked, it's what are the transitions you're finding between playing and cash games? What's the hardest thing in your game that you're doing right now? And if you don't want to give away your weaknesses in tournaments, do it anyways on the air. I want to know what you're finding tough about really taking this seriously, and the things that you're having to change up in your game strategically for the people who are listening that are probably continually moving up or possibly winning satellites online and stepping into these tournaments.
Right.
What are you finding the hardest?
I only could go by my personal problems, which is I play 100, 200 limit, which the hands that I play are more selective. Joey, stop it.
No, I was making faces. Our intern's taking pictures.
Okay.
I messed up the interview. I'm sorry. Continue.
So I'm more selective with hands in limit. You know, I won't play an 8-7 suited in certain positions, or not even in the late position. So
I think Gavin just popped a blood vessel in his head.
But see, in tournaments, I play those hands. I limp in with those hands. I can raise with those hands. It's no limit.
Call raises with those hands.
Exactly. Re-raise with those hands. You're right. So it was really, really hard for me to get into a different kind of groove because I was playing a certain way for a year, and now I have to adjust. I have to look at, wow, ace-6 suited in late position is a great hand to raise. Well, you know, it's an okay hand to raise. But I would play that hand other than not playing it at all, just mucking it in a limit game.
Are you kidding me?
Gavin, let's go play heads up, please.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Let me tell you something. If you ain't playing those hands heads up, then you're not going to beat me.
Oh, no. I know. No.
You do not want to urinate off of the log with Gavin Smith.
When we were at the Commerce,
it's all love.
I went and stood behind Jean a little bit while she was playing in this said 100, 200 game.
So funny.
And
wow.
I was trying to help her in maximization of the rush. And she is not very good at that. She wins 2 big pots in a row. 2 big pots in a row. Gets dealt King Jack.
Offsuit.
Under
the gun.
I don't care.
Under the gun.
After having just won 2 big pots in a row. I muck. And then she would have made a full house. Another guy made a straight, and she would have won like a monster.
Wow.
But she
This
mucked
is
it.
so great for the 2+2 threads.
She mucked
They're
it because
so like, muck it. Okay,
she
go
mucked
ahead.
it because she's like,
It's a clear muck.
screw that. It's
Right.
gonna raise.
No. Okay.
All this
You're running over the table.
No.
You're running over the table. You're looking powerful.
If you want to play it for that reason,
raise it
that's
up.
different. But then it doesn't matter what your hand is.
Right,
If that's,
sure,
okay,
sure,
well,
doesn't matter.
that's different.
But
Exactly.
you know
That's
what?
why King Jack wouldn't matter either, right?
I'll
Right.
probably lose most of the time with a King Jack offsuit under the gun than I would win, right? I'm just going by, I know.
Well, but you told me before the show, though, that you have you believe in superstition and luck
definitely.
in the game, and so then you would think that then rushes would also be included in that.
Yes, but when you're playing 100, 200 limit, you have to kind of, your swings are really big, so you have to be level-headed about it also. You have to know which hands you can play. You have to know your players, who you're sitting with, and at that point in time, I know that if I raised that King Jack, probably everybody would have folded. Under the gun I raised, everyone would have folded. So maybe I wouldn't have won as much as you thought I would have won, Gavin.
You should just call me Greg. Greg. Yeah. Wow. Greg.
Because you've been
great to be your boyfriend.
I know,
You've been
everything's
assaulting her
negative
game.
about me.
You've been assaulting
Everything's
her game.
negative with Jean today.
Great to be your boyfriend, Beth. Crap.
You leave Mary alone. I've told you this 100 times.
No, Gavin's
Am I the
just
only one
like
who doesn't get a new
attack
name?
mode.
Elmo,
Your
be
name
quiet.
is Bernard for the rest of the show.
Where did Greg come from?
I don't know. It's a good
Gavin,
question.
Canadian
I'm sorry.
FBT,
I
who knows?
apologize. Oh yeah, Greg.
Possibly.
FBT.
Yeah, we look alike.
No, he's wearing the pink hat.
Well, after reading your bio, it said that you did start playing no limit, though, right? Now
Yes.
you're playing high stakes. So what made you walk away from limit the first time? It's sort of your bio read like, I got crushed in no limit. I walked over and played 1530. The rest is history kind of thing. So I didn't really get fill in the gaps.
Well, that's what they taught me was no limit, $1, $2. So
That sounds very ominous.
no, my friends who taught me how to play, they taught me no limit. I thought that was the only game that was available to play until I talked to my best friend Maya.
Names. What friends? Who taught you how to play?
Danny Masterson, Eric Balfour.
Danny Masterson, isn't that the actor?
Yeah.
That 70s show taught her how to play.
Well, I was there in Tahoe, and for New Year's.
Who taught you how to drive a car? Ray Charles?
Wow, Gavin.
Gavin is on fire.
Gavin. Danny's a very good
The new
poker player.
circular. Shout out
Hello.
Joe Sebok and Don Rickles.
Gene, just ignore him. I would like to hear. You're playing in Tahoe.
Jeez, it's really hard to look at him right
I
now
know.
because he's
Just
just
look
so
at me.
anti-G
All right,
right now,
enough.
and he's always like
Enough
all love.
bickering.
I
Enough
just-
bickering. There's phone calls for you.
No, that wasn't.
phone
That
calls.
was, yeah,
Okay, no. So
that wasn't an anti-Gene comment, though. That was more of an anti-Danny Masterson, who's actually a friend of mine, too.
Oh,
And-
he's the
and,
greatest.
I mean, I don't mind making me cut up on him. That was just, I thought, good fun.
So we played home games. And I lost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in New Orleans for about a week, bored. I went to Harrah's, played, lost. And then I said, there has to be some other place that I can play. So my friends told me there was Commerce Casino. I said, oh, you can play in LA? They're like, yeah. So I went there and then headed over to Hustler and was there like every single day. That's how I learned how to play.
So you're in like big star-studded celebrity home games all the time then? Who's the biggest star you ever played poker with? in a home game?
Not me. I don't count. Someone.
You don't
Come
count
on,
as Josie
Joey.
Buck, right? Bernard does not count.
Biggest star-studded. No,
just
I think.
biggest celebrity. Danny.
Yeah, Danny.
He's a big star. He's a superstar.
Danny and Laura, they're both on the same show. So.
Oh, okay.
Laura
yeah, they all
Prepon?
play. Yeah, I played maybe a couple times at her.
I
house.
Were you on that E! Hollywood home game show?
No.
Oh, you weren't?
I was camped out inside Hustler Casino. They couldn't find me. I wouldn't go to home games anymore.
I just want to understand why, after we've been such good friends for so long, have you not invited me to take, all this, celebrity money? You haven't invited me to the game once.
We've been traveling, Joey. Come on.
Let's travel to Los
Okay.
Angeles to Danny Masters' house so I can clean him out.
Well, he's in New York for a month, so he's in New York for a month. And I mean, they're not small games. People might think they're small games. One night, Danny
the bigger
called
the
me.
game, the better.
Right. No. I'm saying no. Danny called me one day, and he played till 7 a.m. I mean, he texted me. He said I won $10,000 in the game last night, which is kind of incredible because everybody plays Sunday nights at 3 a.m. over at his house. So
well, that's 10,000 more than he will be winning if I was in the game.
No, but it's Joe. You'll be very frustrated the way you are playing in that game.
I'll also be very rich, so I'll deal with it. I'll rub the money on my head.
The frustrated and rich Bernard. All right, it's time for the questions.
Hey, this is Adam from Pennsylvania. I have a question for Jean. If she had a poker mentor or someone that she was looked up to as she was coming up through the rights of poker. All right.
The rights of poker.
The rights of poker. No mentor, except now that I've, since last October, I've been traveling around the tournament circuit. I ask all my friends questions. I get answers. Joe, you know this. I call you all the time. Mm-hmm. So, I ask questions how I should have played a hand, stuff like that. And they give me an honest answer.
True. Yeah, it's usually, I started that with Sebok the other day and Gavin, and I got served up about how I played in the 2500.
Yeah,
I'm learning that the only way it's tough love. I'm saying it's tough love that you guys give when you do call. The people on the circuit don't sugarcoat it for you unless they want you to lose.
No. Well, no, and I love helping Jean out. It's great,
Maybe I should be looking for a mentor now that I play No Limit, So.
I'm trying to be your mentor.
Now you got you don't have time for me.
So you just learned Limit by grinding it out? No?
Yeah, I learned it by grinding it. Yes, I am self-taught.
All right, let's take the next question.
Was that not supposed
Hi,
to be?
this is Will in Chicago. I've got a question for Gavin, Joe, and the guest tonight. I was wondering if you guys could talk about the art of floating, calling a flop bet and with the intention of taking the pot away on a later street. I have a real problem defending against that because it's really hard for me to tell if someone has, say, my overpair beat or if he's just making a move on me. I was wondering if you could talk about that briefly and some tips. Thanks a lot.
Well, what is? I don't know.
I've never heard that.
Basically, what he's saying is that a person.
It's when David Blaine does it.
No, a person bets and you flat call him on the flop with no hand, no draw, hoping to take the pot away from him on the turn. And it's something that it's a pretty advanced play. I wouldn't probably recommend doing it very much until you know. The play, both making it and defending against it, has all to do with knowing your opponents that you're up against. It's, if you've got an overpair and you're playing against a goofball like me, who might be doing that to you, well then I got an overpair. I'm gonna go with his hand, deal with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna lose, most of the time you're not.
I think the number one thing you have to look at is your particular opponent in that hand. Is this the type of person that's going to fire another barrel at you, or are they going to let it go? I call bets a lot with certain opponents when I know they're going to bet on the flop and I know they're going to check it on the turn.
But what this gentleman was saying is he has a hard time defending against it, and what Joe has just said there is perfect. If you're playing against a person who you know is capable of doing this, then it is imperative that you fire a second shell regardless if you have a hand or not. You just can't always check, and vice versa. You also have to check when you have a hand at times, and let this float or dust off some chips when you've got a hand.
Let him float away.
What do you do?
What do? I play tight. No, I'm just kidding. No, I totally agree with Gavin. But that is advanced. You have to have a very good read on someone if you're going to be doing that. And I always try and pick a target on the table. So
it works in limit as well as no limit?
Oh, yeah. Usually you have like 3 players. But, limit, it's hard to steal away a pot. I'm talking about no limit, actual tournament. It's hard to steal pots in no limit. I mean, you have to know your players. If you know he's really tight and you raise on the turn and he's going to fold, then make the play. If you know that he's going to call you all the time, then you can't make that play.
Right. Well, do you have anything going on outside of poker that you can tell us about? We have 20 seconds left.
My new online site, jeangluck.com.
www.jeangluck.com.
Yes. I'm going to be starting my blog after the World Series, and I'm going to also have a forum.
Beautiful, beautiful.
All right. For Bernard and Greg.
And Mary Beth.
Still and Mary Beth. Thanks for coming by. Jean Gluck, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, honey.
Well, we here at the Circuit are excited to have Pacific Poker on board with the show, one of our new sponsors. If you're new to poker, why don't you check out Pacific Poker's free practice play version to get the hang of the game. If you're ready for the rush of playing for real money, Pacific Poker will start you off on the winning track with a guaranteed 25% bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. They feature a wide variety of table stakes, and poker tournaments never stop. The daily $10,000 tournament is among the Internet's richest daily prize pools. At Pacific Poker, you can count on fast and friendly customer service, great bonuses, and thrilling events. Welcome back to the Circuit, everyone. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122, on cardplayer.com, and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, Joe Sebok. Great interview with Gene. I loved it.
I love Gene.
Got a couple things to tell everybody about out there in Card Player land. The Card Player online store is proud to announce that all books and DVDs will be 50% off for a limited time, from Doyle's Super System, which teaches you how to play trip aces against Gavin Smith, to the Phil Helm Youth Instructional DVD, which teaches you how to be gracious when you don't get your 10th bracelet. You can find everything you need to improve your game at pokerstore.cardplayer.com. We also have our monthly free roll still going. If you want to improve your game and win some money at the same time, check it out at www.cardplayer.com/freepoker. And you can register for our monthly free rolls worth 3,000 bones, everybody. And you might even find your way to the Card Player Player of the Year awards. So, yeah, check those things out. You guys can do it, too, if you want. If you want to pick up some free money.
And we get 50%?
What? Oh, you can get 50% off, yeah. If you want to read Super System again.
Okay. Again, I've
never read it.
Really?
I've read Doyle's part, that's it.
Dude, I read the crap out of that book.
Really?
So many times.
That's excellent. All right, well, we will be back tomorrow. I'm going to try to get Sammy Farha on this show, but for now, I'd like to thank our guest, Jean Gluck. As always, thanks for coming back. I always worry on Sunday afternoons that maybe you won't be back on Monday.
We will.
We're here for you, Scotty boy.
I'm here for you guys. All right, and we're going to be here with you all week long. More news from the World Series, more interviews with the biggest pros in the game right here. Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, Joe Sebok. Thanks for listening to The Circuit.
Later.